He's sweating. So you're moving the screens, I'm like, oh, panicking. Like one more minute. He's sweating. So you're moving the screens, I'm like,
Ready?
go for it.
So we'll call the Board of Adjustment hearing to order. Notice was published in the paper. There's two publishings and
Well, they only give us one of them, but they told us it was in there twice. It was.
place.
Yeah.
Thank you. Secretary to read the notice of public hearing, and Marv is sitting in for the secretary.
All right. Notice of public hearing, state of Wisconsin, County of Burnett, Monday, June 6th at 2022 and 5th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Burnett County Government Center in room 165, Town of Meenan, Siren, Wisconsin, regarding the following. Number one, variance 2303, hence public notice is hereby given all persons the town of Jackson, Burnett County, Wisconsin, that Brad Peterson,
Ready?
on behalf of the
So we'll
Harry
call
Hens.
the Board of Adjustment hearing
You got something.
to order.
I'm sorry.
Notice was published in the paper. Just hold up, technical difficulty. Just 1 second. Something's playing back.
I get feedback.
I think you have to make sure.
It's
your
just-
audio-
It's just playing over it.
Or something.
Off timing.
Well, by the time it gets down, she's watching it live.
Oh,
It's just, it does have a buffer.
about
built in.
30-second delay
Yeah.
on YouTube.
You should just mute it, probably. All she'd have to do.
It's not doing it anymore.
Don? Okay, back, sorry.
Okay, start again. Notice of public hearing, state of Wisconsin, County of Burnett, Monday, June 5th at 2023 at 6 p.m. at Burnett County Government Center in room 165, Town of Meenan, Siren, Wisconsin, regarding the following. Number one, variance number 2303, hence public notice is hereby given to all persons in the town of Jackson, Burnett County, Wisconsin, that Brad Peterson on behalf of Perry Hintz, representing PNK Wisconsin LLC, has made an application relative to proposal to vary the terms of the Burnett County Land Use and Shoreland Protection Code of ordinances as follows. To have a lean-to that was constructed without a land use permit, which does not meet the required rear setback at 3634 Thompson Road in the RR1 zoning district, Outlot 1, CSM Volume 27, page 172, and Government Lot 5, Section 3640 North, Range 15 West. Variance number 2304, Slifer. Public notice is hereby given that all persons in the town of Jackson, Burnett County, Wisconsin, and Russell Slifer has made application relative to a proposal to vary the terms of the Burnett County Land Use Ordinance and Shoreland Protection Code ordinances as follows. To expand the footprint of a structure which is less than 35 feet from the ordinary high water mark of Myra Lake, aka Middle Loon Lake, at 4925 County Road C in the RR2 zoning district, Government Lot 4, Section 16, Township 40 North, Range 15 West.
Okay, thank you. We got a motion for approval of the agenda order.
Motion to approve the agenda order.
Second.
Second. Carried. Okay, our hearing procedures here, the board of members have visited the sites. Public comments other than scheduled hearings, tonight have a 3-minute time limit. This hearing is being recorded, so we ask that only one person speak at a time, that we don't talk over each other, or it doesn't pick it up, it's just comes scrambled. The board asks that one person from the announced variance be designated by the applicant to represent their case before the board, and would come up and take a seat here and explain it. The board will then ask for public comments, any received correspondence from local authorities or neighbors concerning the announced variance. Then the board will close that portion of the hearing and deliberate amongst ourselves, asking any questions to clarify items of concern. A vote will be taken before moving on to the next variance, so you'll know the decision tonight. Applicant, local officials, and DNR shall receive within 30 days a letter summarizing the hearing, also including information on applicants' rights to appeal the decision in circuit court within 30 days. Any person aggrieved by this decision, or taxpayer, or any officer, department, board of review, or bureau of the county may, within 30 days after filing of this decision in the office of the Board of Adjustment, commence an action in circuit court seeking remedy available by certiorari. The zoning board of adjustment functions like a court and must follow state laws and local zoning ordinances. The zoning board cannot change or ignore any part of the zoning ordinance or state laws, but must apply the laws as written. The zoning board may only grant a variance, special exception, or administrative appeal if the applicant provides evidence showing that they meet all the legal standards for the decision, including the 3 criteria: unnecessary hardship, hardship due to unique property limitations, and no harm to public interests. So with that, we will start. Let's see, what's the first line here? Brad, are you presenting that one?
I am.
So. Variance 2303. Yep, so we're ready. So you can kind of explain what the.
I'm Brad Pearson, representing Pearson Construction. I built Perry's house. First of all, I've been in business for about 30. I've never built anything without a permit. I've had the county. This was a mistake on my part. I built Perry's house in 2017. And after that, we applied for a permit for the storage building you guys saw with the lean-to on the north side. That was approved. I have a copy of the approval here in my records. Then Perry wanted to build a lean-to. And we were having trouble getting a cement guy in the fall of the year.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's gonna work.
I'm so sorry.
So Perry happened to see a cement guy and said, Brad, we can get this guy to pour this next week. And I said, great, go for it. I spaced out applying for the permit. And I knew that we had plenty of property for what we were doing. But as it finds out, I forgot that we have a 40-foot setback on the back. And now the building is within 31 feet of the property line. Since this time, Perry has planted trees for a buffer zone in the property. It's not going on too close to the lake shore, too close to anybody's house, too close to a road. And it was definitely a mistake on my part. And like I had said before, I have never built a building without a building permit through my 39 years of building. So it was my mistake. That's my plan for the hearing.
It was basically a change order from, you applied, the 70 by 50 had a permit for it, right?
Correct, yeah.
It just, as the process went along, the plan
Well, it was
changed.
done 2 years differently.
Okay.
It was 2 years
Correct.
later. This was the original building that I have a permit for from the county was done in 2019. This one, the plans I looked at tonight before I came was 2020 is when the back lean-to was built.
Was the concrete that you poured just for the slab, or was it the entire property?
It was for the entire lean-to.
Okay, so
Yeah.
one shot.
Yes, it was.
Okay, thank you.
On the one corner, it's 31.22 feet. And the other one is 35.67, so it sits at an angle to the back there.
Correct. Yeah, I just took the closest point, Dennis.
And the roadside. We meet them requirements, you're okay there, and you hardly see it. Lean to from the road that much anyway, and you're quite a bit farther from the property line in the rear.
And Perry's been planting trees for a buffer all along. He has a tree state, so I'm sure you guys saw that when you visited the site.
Any other questions? Jason, do you have any comments on this one?
What did I have in my staff? report? I guess, I was wondering why there was a well there, but we don't have any sewer permits. That was one of my questions.
I have an answer to that question.
Alright,
Mr. Hintz is a very anal person. If you look at his truck, it's completely clean. If you look at his boat, his pontoon, his UTV and his bobcat, that is, there's a trench drain in there that legally goes to daylight. That when he washes his vehicles, that's what it's for. He has a laundry sink in there. He cleans fish, goes into a bucket, he takes it out, the wastewater and dumps that out. And that's the only thing. There's no toilet, there's no shower in that room. That well was put in just for that reason.
Anything else, Jason?
no,
Any letters from the?
we have no letters, no
Neighbors,
neighbors, no DNR, no correspondence from
Responses, okay. No other questions here, board member? Marv, did you have any questions, Marv?
Is the well inside or outside the?
Outside, it's a drilled well outside.
Okay, all right.
If you look at this Mark Crowley from Wagner,
Yeah.
the well is shown on the
Okay.
dimensional sketch on there.
Yeah.
Outside the building. And there's considerable distance between there and Thompson Road too, so that this property doesn't even abut the road technically either, so.
So who has the property between Thompson Road and this property
What's his name, Perry?
unplatted?
Bergman, yeah.
And then my neighbor is right there, Jeff Lowe. He's the
That's,
40-foot guy.
that's the neighbor that, the man that's here, Jeff Lowe, is the neighbor that's on the 35 and 31 foot side.
west side.
West side of the property.
Is that a buildable piece of property?
Yes, I would imagine it would be. Yes,
It is, okay, just wondering.
There's a house on the lake shore. There's a house on the lake shore. And the Bergman property is actually, that's the town line right there for any practical purposes. The next one is the town of Sand Lake, actually.
Okay, Jeff, did you have any comments?
No, it doesn't affect me.
You don't have any issues with it?
No, I don't.
Any other comments? None being, we'll close this portion of the hearing, we'll deliberate amongst ourselves.
you want me to say?
You can go back and have a seat. Thank you.
Thank you.
How we look at these, of course, is that it's not there. Would we approve this? If it wasn't there? That's how we look at it. Otherwise, everybody build everything and then you get it, right? So that's why the laws are that way. So that's how we look at it. Think that we can meet the criteria, where, you know, it's not contrary to public interest, it's the back lot area here. And then other ones like this. We didn't have any issues with it. It's well planned up, you know, see it.
Yeah, I think it's well within reason for the story for the parcel. I'd point out the same thing. I believe our driveway ordinance is 30 feet and there's technically enough space on the backside of the parcel for a legal permitted loop that would be around the building. It doesn't meet the current 40-foot setback, but I think there's a reason for an exemption because sometimes things happen.
Any comments, Myra?
Just say, looking from the lean-to itself, the walkway line. And there's no buildings or structures that you can see from property line. And I believe that home is quite a bit to the west. And I can't see any problem with that, certainly, unless the property owner himself has got a comment or I can't see any big problem with that.
Okay, if not, then,
I'll make a motion to approve variance 2303 hints. Following condition, land use to be permit to be obtained for the lean-to by 8/1 of 2023. I think we did discuss the sewer things. Is that this is a reasonable explanation for that? Follow all local, county and state and federal requirements for this activity.
I'd second that.
so we have a motion and a second. I'll signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Carried. So you have your permit, you just need to contact the zoning office and normal building hour and get the official paperwork taken care of and we're all set.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, the next one, we're having a little technical difficulty, so we're gonna try to get him
On the phone.
on the phone. So I'm gonna tell him to. Well. he should be-
Okay, let's take just a couple minute break while you're doing that, just get the paperwork switched.
Russell?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, I'm not on the comment line, I'm on the public line, but if you can hear me, this will work fine.
So we hear you fine, so it's coming over the speakers.
Yeah.
Good to go.
All right, cool.
Okay, you wanna, everybody ready? Okay, we could start if you wanna kind of give us a rundown of what you're asking for.
You're reading.
Yeah. Sure.
You can start with
We,
your name and that, just so we know who's.
Sure. My name is Russell Schleifer. The address is 4925 County Road C. We submitted a application to rebuild our cabin. Just a little bit of background on the property. It's, even though the staff report says that my wife Phyllis and I purchased it in 2003, it's actually been in the family for approximately 100 years. And her grandfather built that cabin around 1930. And so we're looking to rebuild that cabin. Currently, it has an entrance and an exit doors on the north and south side of the cabin. The south side of the cabin being the side that faces the lake. We're proposing to exclude that south door and move it to the west side of the cabin. By doing that, however, it puts it right under the overhang from the roof where all of the snow and ice and water is going to be coming off of the roof. So we're seeking a variance to put a porch on that west side to provide shelter for that door, as opposed to keeping the lake and entrance or keeping the entrance to the cabin on the south side.
Okay, and then proposing to go 2 stories.
Yes, it's already 2 stories, but we'll go a full 2 stories in the footprint that exists.
So this variance is really just for the porch, not the whole
Correct.
entire structure.
Mhm.
Yep. We already gave him a permit to rebuild the structure,
Mhm.
so it's just. Yep.
This is Mark Prozig from Labor Surveying, and I have, we did the site work for him, so if there's any questions that the board has, need for dimensional issues or questions, we have to answer them for you.
So I'm looking at your drawing, Mark. So they've got the proposed cabin shown. With the same footprint as the existing cabin and covered porch, and then adding the.
10 feet to the,
Out to the west.
10 feet to the west, yes, on the back 20 feet of the cap.
And under the current, for Jason, under the current statutes now, they can rebuild the existing what's there, right?
Yep, so that's what he's doing. He can rebuild the existing cabin in the same footprint because he's less than 35 feet from the ordinary high water mark. He can't expand the footprint at all. That's what he has to get the variance for. It's because he's
But he
not,
could go up.
yeah, and he is, yeah, or
But he's
going
not going
up.
the full 3
He
stories.
could go
He's just-
35
yeah.
feet tall. Correct.
Is this truly a cabin or is it going to be a year-round home?
It's still only gonna be a cabin. Family uses the property primarily just in the summer months.
Okay, so the falling ice and snow shouldn't be a problem on your deck.
Assuming that, I mean, we still want to get up there just like this winter and do any maintenance that needs to be done. But there's nobody going to be living in the cabin.
Yeah, I was looking at the request for a 10 by 20 cover over that area and I thought that was a bit excessive.
Yeah, we're just trying to keep it proportional to the building, I guess, so aesthetically it doesn't look weird.
Can you tell me approximately how high the deck would be from the ground level?
When you say deck, you just mean the floor of the porch?
I'm sorry, the entrance to the door.
Now, that side of the cabin where the door would be is probably only maybe 2 foot above grade. I don't know exactly.
I might be able to aid with that. Here's the. Pictures of that side. This is the other side, but that's the one. So the.
Okay, well, that's all what I figured because I had 5 steps here.
There's 5 steps at the lake, but on the side, there's only 1 or 2.
Oh,
One or two. That's what they're gonna
Okay.
remove, what's on the front there.
Yeah, I was looking at the proposed building here and it looked like to the door height from the ground level and I didn't know what was wrong.
Sure. Yeah, that's the existing tree out there, is that's what the one oak tree is up front, and that would stay. That's what be in the front, in this area right here, so.
Okay, so really, as it shows on the side over here, this would be more flush.
Yes,
Okay,
and it'd be,
it was from the drawing, it was hard to tell what the
right, and this would be, out from the windows in the center of that part of the cabin.
I guess. Thank you.
I almost wonder if those elevation drawings are showing like the frost footings or something, maybe that's why it looks like it's. Got a little more height to it, maybe.
Oh, in the drawing or sketches.
Yeah, in the elevation
yeah,
sketches, I
yeah.
think that might, because, yeah,
It's like a
it's-
4
Yeah,
foot
I-
foundation.
yeah, it's not gonna be
Just
4
some
feet
scale.
off the ground. Yeah,
No, I don't, those elevations, those sketches weren't made relative to the actual property. They were just made in the abstract. In other words, that's that's not showing the contour of the property.
I would assume the floor would be basically about the same as it is right now, so it'd be pretty flush with the ground on the back side of the building there.
Correct.
We do have some contours on the, there's some light contours on the sketch there too. I don't know if they showed up on your drawings or not. Where the lake is roughly at 980, and then the back area is above 984 roughly at the cabin there.
Yeah,
You see it shown on here where the water level is at 78, ordinary high was 79.4.
okay,
We threw the 80 line on there, the 82 line on here, here's the 84 line. The 84 is on the back, so the 84 is roughly the floor height or a little bit above the floor height there.
yeah, they had a set of steps here like 31 inches in width. And I was looking at their proposed plan here, and they've got a 4x6 entrance on the back door. And I can't see why a 4x6 entrance on the side door wouldn't also serve as an entrance. And what I'm driving at is, if the building in fact is not being used in the winter, the falling snow or ice, it shouldn't be a problem for people entering the door. And depending on the height again from the ground, you may or may not require railing on it. But that's something would have to be determined. And your main door is open inward, so that's not a problem.
Where do you intend to step off from that proposed porch? Is the porch enclosed with glass and walls, or is this a deck or
No, it's just an open porch.
just open porch, got a roof, the canopy part to keep snow off, right?
Correct.
And then where do you step off? Do you go off straight out or do you go out towards the back or?
Well, assuming that the porch floor is relatively flush with the ground, or at least just one step above, I would assume that you'd be able to exit either to the west or to the north.
Sure.
To the south wouldn't make much sense where the oak tree is, and there'd be a bigger step off.
Danny? Keep it parallel to the house, otherwise you're expanding farther into the area. And in fact, if that turns out to be a 10x20 deck, it turns out to be an outdoor living room. And that's not the intent for something like this.
What would be an acceptable size?
We have allowed 5 foot, so you got wheelchair access. You can turn around on a wheelchair. You need 5 foot circle in front of the door if you ran it, 5 foot. The length to go back to the back side of the house there. Then you could get your shed roof over there enough to shed some snow off the entry. We've allowed that. Is that something you can do anyway, Jason? No.
No, he's stuck in the footprint.
And the issue is the 35 feet, right? I mean,
If this cabin was, the closest point was 36 feet to the lake, he could then do a 200 square foot lateral expansion onto the structure. But when any portion of it
is
is
it
less
within
than
that
35,
35? Correct.
you are stuck in the footprint. Doesn't matter if the back of the cabin goes to 200 feet. you are stuck within that same footprint if any portions within the 35 foot.
And so even the 5 foot would be the 35 foot requirement.
No, that's why I mean,
But
that's
so-
why, yeah, he needs a variance for essentially anything,
Correct.
other than like steps to get to the door. I mean, we would give people obviously access to get into the house. You know, if they need steps to get into the house, we would grant that. Is just part of their building with it.
Well, the plus to this is the fact is you're removing the front steps toward the lake.
You know, that 12 foot 3 by 2'7" step.
And you should have a second door in case of fire or
Mhm.
something, and you gotta have that. And I honestly don't see much sense in having more than a 4x6 entrance there. It's good enough for the back door, it should be good enough for the side door.
That sounds subjective to me. That's an opinion.
Yeah,
The-
I agree.
Yep,
I agree,
Yeah.
it's an opinion.
you know, because if we start arguing over what's acceptable for you on a 10 by 10, I think we stick to the 35. I would say if he could meet the 35 foot, it takes 6 feet off of that overhang, but I'd be fine with that. Cause then it's pushing that imprint, you know. But right now we're at a 27'4" and 26'9" to the corner of the house. Now granted, it's already in that 35 feet.
Well, you talk about knocking something off that overhang. You really don't need that second overhang if you go with the original roof. If what you got is a 4x6. See. I mean, if this piece is taken off, that doesn't cover the 10 by 20 deck, you don't need that second. All you've got is deck of the entrance and normal roof.
Yeah, but 2 foot overhang is the standard.
Yeah, standard over. He's got 1 foot overhang on every part of the building.
So where does it end up if we meet the 35? Could you help us with that, Mark? If we met our 35 foot setback,
He loses, it's a 10 by
7 foot,
15 building, basically.
If we shorten the 20 to 15 there, Russell, would that be acceptable to you there?
Yes, that would work.
Is it gonna still make the door? Yeah.
it's gotta make that door, it don't work.
It still, it looks like it still makes the door. You know, but I need cheaters and I can't.
Do you know those numbers, Mark? It's at 6'6" and 7'2" to the center.
Suffer, not where anybody else.
It's like 13.8.
10 to the center, yeah.
And so then, 3 foot, the 3
Foot and a half.
15 feet would work. 15 feet would give you about a foot on the side of the door to the lake. So that you can open the door.
Well, and the access is from the north and west. I mean, that's what we stated anyways.
So if we went.
The driveway, I
15
mean-
feet, you have a foot extra on this side here. that
Currently,
you
they
want.
walk all the way around the
You do
lake
it.
to the front, that south side, and he's removing those steps.
So, yeah. So if we did that, we're getting rid of a stair in the front already.
That's a plus.
We're only going 2 stories instead of 3. And we meet the 35 foot setback, we're real close to it. I think that's a.
I think that's a fair compromise
Yeah.
to me, because and the rest, that's the goal. I think it's that
And I
35
think that we're
feet.
helping with the contrary to public interest, that's the one I was struggling with.
So the proposed cabin or the porch would be 15 by 10.
Yeah.
Is that?
So pulling 5 feet back from the south.
Right,
Okay.
we're trying to get the 35 foot setback from the high water mark. Any issues with that, Jason? Really? Okay, do we have any other anybody else calling in? Any other comments?
There was a letter from the neighbor in your packet, the east neighbors, just saying they don't object, they're like 500 feet away or something from the place. So that was the only correspondence I had, nothing from the DNR, nothing from the township.
It was Diane Connor was the neighbor.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's no one else called in or anything like
Anybody else
that.
called in, no other comments here? No. Okay, well done, then we'll close this portion of the hearing and deliberate amongst ourselves. We always struggle with the three criteria on these, but I think that it's a win-win, and we're getting rid of steps. 3-4 foot water across the front. Moving to the side, and we're getting back to the 35 feet. Where it would be allowed, by code, it would be allowed.
Yeah, I think that's makes sense to me.
So I think that we can meet it. And they may not use the cabin in the winter right now, but that changes down the road in the south or whatever. So we're looking at the future too, so.
I'll make a motion to approve variance 2304 Slipper. Land use permit to be obtained by 8/1/2023 for the addition of a 15 by 10 porch.
So let's clarify that the 15. We're trying to meet the 35-foot setback from the.
So basically, it's gonna mean pulling 5 feet off the lake
South.
side,
Yes,
correct.
south side
Yep.
of it.
Yeah, thank you. That's our intent.
Talk about
Yeah, and then
recommendations on shoreline on this section.
we've got the list of stuff here that we need to talk about. So we got a motion so far with the 15 by
Correct.
10, and then, do we have a second on that?
I'll second
Okay,
that.
we've got a second now. We can open it up for further discussion. We also had a couple deals, the outdoor shower.
I talked to Russ on the phone, explained to him about what the rules say about the outdoor shower. It needs to be connected to a sewer and it can't be within the 75-foot setback. He understood that. I think he's okay with removing it.
Okay. Or you would have to get a separate permit to do it the right way. Right, you'd have to get a separate permit to do that correctly, so that, okay, so we can cover that in the motion. That follow the state code, shoreline restoration.
So that I put in for every variance request when someone's asking to get something closer to the lake than what they would be allowed. He does have 2,100 roughly feet of shoreline. The code used to say you were allowed 35 per 100.
Correct.
But they actually changed that law a year and a half ago or so. Now it's capped at 200.
Yeah.
And he has about 400 feet or so of viewing and access corridor right now.
Was that viewing corridor before the change a year and a half ago?
Mhm.
Okay, so in other words, it could be considered grandfathered?
Yep, but now since he's asking for
Correct.
something,
You could bring it up. as-
yes, that's why I
as
bring it up.
negotiating.
Yep,
Okay.
because if he wasn't asking for a variance, we wouldn't say anything about it.
We would normally then include that for the variance.
As usually you guys include that as a trade-off if you're granting a variance for them to be closer on something to the lake. Is to,
Do you want to amend or clarify your motion? With these items?
Yeah, well, that's up, I mean, is that something we want to do? So we'd be asking for 200 feet of shoreline mitigation.
And then we should include with the outdoor shower.
Removal of the shower, we'll put it in the
Or-
motion.
Or for proper permit.
Yep, I'll clarify motion to approve variance 2304 Sliffer for a 15 by 10 porch addition. Outdoor shower to be moved by 8-1 or applied for a proper variance or permit. Shoreline restoration should be followed on this parcel. We'll be asking to talk to Dave Ferris and look at restoring 200 feet of the 400 feet of viewing corridor.
And can I ask a question even though you've closed the comments?
Let's finish the motion first, and then we will.
Okay. Right, I'd second that motion.
And then we just did to follow all the local, county, state and federal.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you had that in there. Okay, so we got a motion, we got a second. All in favor, excuse me, you have a question?
I do. I'd like to understand what that shoreline restoration is.
Oh, it's like some where a lot of your area that you're not currently mowing and I guess it should look natural. So a lot, you have 1,700 feet of shoreline, what we would consider natural shoreline, where it has
Mhm.
grass, underbrush and trees growing on it. It's just you have that 400 feet that it's mostly mowed and open. I mean, there are few trees scattered in there. So it'd be a lot of it would, a lot of times what the recommendation is that you just stop mowing a certain area and then it'll go back to natural.
Having a discussion with, it's owned by several of us in the family. We would probably withdraw our request for this variance if it's preconditioned on changing the shoreline that we've got. I mean, we've got well over 1,500 feet of shore that we've left natural and leave that way. So for the percent of shoreline that we've got, we don't have an interest in changing that. In fact, when the property was purchased 100 years ago, it was all barren. It was a farmland. And so I think we've been good stewards to leave the majority of it go natural and try to maintain it that way. So if that's going to be the condition, then I think we would withdraw the request and just put a door and entry back on the south side of the cabin.
Yeah, that's your prerogative.
Yeah, you would have that choice to not do with the variance if you don't like the conditions.
Okay, thank you. And then so we got a motion and a second.
Second,
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye, carried. So you've got that, then you just need to contact the zoning office on their regular business hours and go from there. Thank you. Okay,
Sorry, you gotta sign this one from last month. This was the check. Yeah, the reasons and all that stuff there. I need your mileage. Yet.
97.
97, so I will fill that out and sign it for
Appreciate it.
you. 97 was your total?
Yep.
Okay. So I'll probably have Marv sign it since he's filling in for Kathy, I guess,
okay,
even though you weren't here, I don't know.
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
and then do we want to close this portion of the hearing?
Yep, thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Yep, just put the date there,
All right.
whatever today is, 6/5. Perfect,
There you
thank you.
We got a motion to adjourn, second.
go. I'd make that motion to adjourn.
Carried.
And then, let's see, Dennis, sign your mileage, there.